We're not out of the woods yet, but there is hope. There is a light at the end of the tunnel, which means that synagogues, rabbis, cantors, Jewish educators all around the world are asking themselves, what's going to change? What's going to stay the same? How are we going to create hybrid holiness? That's today on Torah Tech Tips. Hey there, I'm Rabbi David. Nice to see you. I'm your Torah Tech guy, and welcome to Torah Tech Tips, where I strive to give you great tips for your great Torah. You've got the great Torah. I just have the tips. So here's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about hybrid holiness. And here's what I mean by that. Before the pandemic, many synagogues were streaming out their services. I was holding classes on Zoom years ago, or maybe it was Google Hangouts, I think, back then. But we've been kind of doing this already, streaming what we've been offering, streaming our Torah on Facebook, on YouTube, on Zoom, on wherever. But I think that what's coming up is actually going to be very different than what we've done in the past. I think that to create hybrid holiness, to truly create a hybrid experience, where you have some people in person and some people participating digitally, is going to look very different and is going to require a different level of commitment from us as clergy, as leaders, as teachers. What do I mean by that? Well, it's one thing to set up a camera, to do what you normally do, and then to allow people, wherever they are in the comfort of their homes or around the world, to watch your service or your class. It's a whole other thing to create an experience that engages both the people sitting in front of you physically and engages the people that are participating digitally. I didn't say watching digitally, but participating digitally. So some of the questions we're going to have to ask ourselves, and I'm not sure I have any answers to these, but some of the questions that we're going to have to ask ourselves are, how do we create connections between those who are in person and those who are participating digitally? Is it important for the people that are in person to see the video feeds of those who are participating digitally, and vice versa? Will it be enough for the people participating digitally to just look at me as the leader? Or do I need to think about how I create a sense of community amongst my both in-person, physical, and digital participants? Hybrid holiness. It's also going to mean, how do we encourage participation from those people that are participating digitally? It's easy to have someone who's sitting in the sanctuary come up for an aliyah, come up, do a reading, carry the Torah. How do we create honors and moments of participation and engagement for those people that are participating digitally? And how do we make sure that we're not treating those folks as second-class citizens? If we approach this moment in time as the people in the sanctuary are my true audience, the people digitally, well, they're not really here, so we need to be careful to not allow our digital audience to become a virtual audience, right? Virtual means not quite, not exactly, almost, kind of like the real thing. But what we want to create, what we want to share with our digital audience is anything but almost. We want them to be able to participate in and experience the full breadth of the Torah that we're sharing, the same Torah that we're sharing with those people that are in person. So we need to think about ways that we can engage them fully in the experience, which is going to mean, again, that we need to think about not just can our participants see one another, but can they hear one another? If we have a digital participant who is having an aliyah, then the people in the room will need to be able to hear that as well. These are all complex technical questions. They are all also completely doable. We can figure this out. The takeaway, I think, though, is, are we willing and ready to ask the question, How can we create an experience that is both full and holy for those who are in person, and one that is full and holy for those that are participating digitally? If we begin to see our audiences, our communities, our memberships as not just the people who physically come into the building, but the people who come into our spiritual heart, into the heart of our communities, our spiritual selves, then not only will the challenges be more, but the opportunities will as well. The opportunities to touch people's lives, the opportunities to change people's lives, and to share the amazing Torah that we have with a wider audience. These are some of the questions that we're going to have to be struggling with and asking ourselves over the coming months, weeks and months. As, please God, more people are getting vaccinated, and as, please God, we consider opening for the high holidays next year, we're going to have a number of people that aren't able to join us in person or simply don't want to. How are we going to create an experience that is both meaningful and engaging for the people in the room and for those that are participating digitally? And I hope that this question will force us to ask ourselves, to what extent is what we're already offering or have already been offering in our sanctuaries, to what extent is that truly engaging? To what extent are our services really engaging? Or have we been putting on a show for even those people in the room? I'm sure that the answer for all of us is, well, elu ve'elu, a little bit of both, right? Some of what we do as leaders, as teachers, is always a show. How can we create a more interactive, a more engaging, a more dynamic experience for those people, not only digitally, but also those who are in the room? I have a few tips and tricks and tools and apps and resources available on my website, TorahTechGuy.com. I also am now streaming this on my new TorahTechGuy.tv YouTube channel, so check that out, www.TorahTechGuy.tv. Everything on my website is free. You're welcome to download and use any of it. If I can be of service to you, if I can be of help to you as you ask these questions, I'm happy to do so. Just visit me at TorahTechGuy.com/help, and I'll do whatever I can. I hope I get to see all of you soon. I look forward to it, and I wish you a wonderful rest of the day.